Okay, so in the previous video, we talked about the 1 to 10 scale, where 1's the most calm someone's ever been, 10's the most dysregulated, and why so many times big reactions, big behaviors, big tantrums and meltdowns happen all the time because they're running at a 6 or 7 all the time, right? Okay, so let's talk about how to move through a tantrum, what to do. So if we think about the life cycle of a tantrum, where this is when they're calm at a 1, 2, or 3, like everything's fine, and then they start ramping up. They start getting agitated, upset, things get worse, they have a hard time flowing and getting along with others and doing what we ask them to do. Here's the full-on meltdown, the 8, 9, or 10, they're just melting down, nothing you can do. They just have to go through it. And then here's where they start to calm down again after the biggest part of the tantrum. This is as they start calming down again. They're still irritable and cranky, but they're starting to calm down, and then they go all the way back down to a 1, 2, or 3 where they're regulated and happy again. So that's the life cycle of a tantrum. When they're at a 1, 2, or 3, there's nothing to do. They're happy, they're regulated, they're going with the flow, they're listening, they're talking, they're sharing, everything's okay. When they hit the 4, 5, 6, or 7, that's when you want to start to help soothing them to help prevent the tantrum in the first place. If they're at a 4, 5, 6, or 7, we want to bring them back down to a 1, 2, or 3 before we move on to the next part of the day and the next thing. Because if they go up to a 4, 5, 6, or 7, anything could happen that could send them into the 8, 9, or 10, which is the tantrum. And that's what we want to avoid if we can. Sometimes they're going to have tantrums, but we want to avoid it if we can. So when they're in the 4, 5, 6, or 7, that's when you're going to do soothing things with them. Like, hey, I can see you're upset. Do you want to come sit down with me and get a hug? Do you want to go for a walk? Do you want something cold to drink? Are you hungry? Do you want a snack, right? Those are the times you're going to help them to regulate. So let's say they are just, it's not working, they're not being soothed, and they go to your tantrum, the 8, 9, or 10. When that happens, there's nothing for you to do. They're there and you have to ride it out because they're to the point now where they're not thinking clearly, they can't listen. That's the time where you might offer them like a snack or, hey, do you want to play or do you want a toy? And they just scream. Like, you can tell they're not there. They can't think straight, they can't flow, they are just upset. So when it's at the peak of the tantrum, the 8, 9, or 10, that's where you just sit with them quietly. The only time you'll intervene during the tantrum when they're at the 8, 9, and 10 is if they're hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or if they're breaking something. Other than that, just be with them. If they're getting physically aggressive, back up and give them space. You can get like a big, thick pillow or cushion or something to put between you and them if they do, but give them space and back up. The 8, 9, or 10 part of the tantrum, you're just there with them sitting and usually quietly because, typically if you talk to them, it's just going to make them more angry. And our goal is to help them to calm down the soonest that we can from the tantrum. So at the 8, 9, or 10, just be with them in the room. If being in the room causes them to be more and more angry, you can step back, like just step into the hallway, say, or somewhere where they can't see you, but you can hear them to make sure they're not hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or breaking something. So that you will just ride out with them. Don't even try and talk them down or soothe them because they can't even hear it at that point. And I know you've had experiences of that. Okay. Once you assess that they are back down into the 4, 5, 6, and 7 range, that's where you can start to offer support again. You can say, hey, do you need a hug? Do you want to go with me to take a walk? Do you want something cold to drink? Do you want a snack? Do you want a hug, right? If they're low enough, if they're closer to 4 or 5, they'll be ready to accept the soothing and they should start calming down even more. Now, if they're not ready for the soothing, by you offering soothing and talking to them or offering a hug or even walking close to them, they may shoot back up into the 8, 9, or 10. That's okay. That just means give them more space, right? That means they're not ready, they're not down far enough that they're willing to accept the soothing. So give them a little more time. When you see signs of them calming down more, you'll see the screaming stop and then they're just crying, for instance. You'll see the crying lessen in intensity. Like their body language will start to calm down. You'll notice them coming down and relaxing a little bit more. Even though they're still upset, they are coming down. That's the time to start offering the soothing and support. And then when they get back down to a 1, 2, or 3, That's when you start offering praise. We always want to support kids and let them know you can feel all the big feelings you want to feel for as long as you want to feel. And what I tell kids after a tantrum, again, as long as they're not hurting themselves, hurting someone else, or breaking something, I will tell them, you did a great job feeling your feelings, and you did a really good job calming down when you were ready to calm down. I never want to tell a kid that they are taking too long to feel their feelings. They're feeling them as long as they need to. For whatever the triggers were and whatever they're experiencing, they will feel the feelings. And so I never tell them you did a good job calming down without first saying you did a good job feeling your feelings, because they know how long they need to feel it, and that's how long the tantrum lasts. So when they're back down to a 1, 2, or 3, and by the way, I don't release a kid from the soothing until they're back down to a 1, 2, or 3, because if we go back to our chart, if you release the kid when they're at a 4, 5, 6, or 7 and say, okay, go ahead and go play, go do this, go whatever, they're just ready for the next tantrum, which is why sometimes you see tantrums happening over and over again in the same day. We didn't take them all the way back down here, because when they're here, they have tons of room to relax. They can think clearly. They can flow better, right? We're so far. We have so much room before we hit a tantrum. So if your kid is having multiple tantrums in a day, it's because we haven't gotten them all the way back down to a 1, 2, or 3. And that might just mean it takes a little bit longer, right? So when they're calming down from the peak of a tantrum, you may need to spend 15 minutes with them instead of 5 minutes to ensure that they are back down to a 1, 2, or 3. When they get all the way back down to a 1, 2, or 3 from the full tantrum, that's when you start to see the kids regulating, and they're able to come up with solutions on their own over time. That's where the magic happens. So if a kid is calm and then they hit the peak of the tantrum and you don't get them all the way back down to a 1, 2, or 3, we haven't really done the work that will allow the tantrum to be something that helps them to regulate. We have to get them all the way back down to a 1, 2, or 3. I call that closing the loop. They feel so much better. They learn that they can calm down. They learn how to calm down, because so many kids live in the 4 to 7 range and they don't even know that they can go down to a 1, 2, or 3. So we want to show them that they can. We want to help them to get there. And that's when you see tantrums start to become a tool to help kids to regulate. If you have any questions, leave them in the comments. I love going over this stuff. I love talking about this stuff. So see you in the next video.